Welcome to another installment of the Paradigm Next and BizCast EOS journey. Today we'll be continuing our conversation with Dan Zawacki, who's a certified EOS implementer. EOS is a system that was originally developed by Gino Wickman. I read the book called Traction, give or take about 9 months ago at this point. And after trying to self-implement some parts successfully, some not so much, I was fortunate enough to meet Dan, and what really impressed me about Dan isn't just the fact that he's a certified implementer and has, many clients under his belt and great reviews and so forth. But what was most important to me is being able to go through this journey with someone who has had their own business, has gone through the challenges, has had employees, and Dan's 30-year experience of running Lobstergram, ultimately selling it, so having an exit out of Lobstergram, scaling it from a small startup being run out of the house to a company with, I believe, you had, I think, 120, 130 employees at its peak.
At the peak of 130, we hit 15 million in sales. As I say, it's amazing.
So that was important to me. I wanted to follow in somebody's footsteps that's done it before, and didn't want to work with someone that kind of follows the mantra of those who can't do teach. So it was great that Dan has done, and now he's teaching based on that experience and based on applying the EOS framework to past experience. True to form, Vision Day Building 2, which was our third kind of, that all-day experience, lived up to the hype. We were really looking forward to it. There was a lot that we learned about ourselves, and during Vision Day Building 1, as well as the subsequent implementation of it. And there were a lot of things that we questioned and that we really needed to clarify. And I feel that Vision Building Day 2 clarified a lot of the unknowns that we had after the focus day and after day 1. And we were able to get through some of the challenges. And I really love the way that it's structured and how it touches on certain points and gives you just enough time to think about it to where now you start questioning it, and then they hit you again. And this was really that. We started our second day with a review of the focus day tools that we started from the very beginning, and we had a completely different take on them the second time around. In that first one, we went through hitting the ceiling, accountability chart, rocks, how to run the level 10 meetings, and our scorecard. By the time we came to this one, we understood where our ceiling was and what the problem was, and we were already making moves based on Vision Day Building 1 to get past that ceiling. We had gone through several iterations of our accountability chart, and we're very proud to show it to Dan and to get his feedback and to get it right.
You did great work.
We got through our first set of quarterly rocks. We weren't completely happy with our results, but it was a combination of internally figuring them out, but more importantly, figuring out that a lot of the things we thought we needed to achieve a quarter ago, having better insight into our company, having better control, having better accountability, made us realize that some of those things were just absurd and we were going completely in the wrong direction and spinning our wheels. So we achieved 60% of our rocks, 20% we were close and we have a path forward, and 20% just became completely irrelevant. We've been holding our level 10 meetings regularly on Mondays, starting at the same time, ending at the same time, having everyone present, technology off, 90 minutes. So we've done, we've really stayed on top of it, and it's been extremely eye-opening and great to be able to connect on that level with other members of the team and to discuss issues which we have in our head, but we're too busy discussing client issues and day-to-day operational issues to really take that perspective. And I had a conversation yesterday with another company that's actually going through the EOS process. And that was one of the things is, this company's been around since the 50s. The founders have been there. The founders, now second generation, have been running the company for the better part of the last 30 years. And they had the same feedback saying at these L10 meetings, they're sitting across from each other. And they had no idea that all of these thoughts were in each other's heads until they started holding their level 10 meetings.
Yeah, amazing.
Similar experience on our end, and knowing that we're now accountable to the rest of the team has been great. What I've noticed, I'm a procrastinator by nature. If I have an assignment due tomorrow or a test coming up, tonight's the night that I'm doing it. This has kind of fit into my procrastinator nature because now I have weeks. I have 1 week, and at the end of that week, I deliver. I'm going to be honest, and there hasn't been a single Sunday where at 9 p.m. I haven't opened up my to-dos and gone through them and gotten up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I think on every Monday before the L10 meeting, and spent a couple of hours making sure that I clean up that list, just because I was embarrassed to walk into the meeting not being ready.
Yeah.
And I was concerned if I was the one that wasn't living up to my end of the deal, then everybody else would kind of fall in line and also do the same. So I think I'm at about an 85% completion rate on my to-dos. So that's, for me, it's spectacular. And I think overall it fits pretty well. And then the last piece of that catch up, and then I'll let kind of Dan speak to our progress and generally the process, was the scorecard. And this, I think, for us was one of the most important parts that we took out of Vision Day Building 2, because we put together a bunch of items on the scorecard in Vision Day Building 1. We didn't report on a majority of them because they were hard to measure. They took a lot of time. They weren't measuring things we were really curious about. They were answering questions from a business plan standpoint, but not from our existing plan standpoint. They were very high level and not something that I really cared about on a weekly basis when I'm dealing with more fundamental issues. So I was really concerned about that, between day 1 and day 2, in that we were completely failing at it. There were L10 meetings when we just completely glazed over it. We'd get to the scorecard items and we'd both say, moving on. So we moved on. And I wanted to get the scorecard to a point to where it was meaningful. And this past Monday was our first L10 meeting where scorecard items were addressed. Life-changing. First of all, in preparation for it, it was eye-opening. We saw instant issues, which we instantly had to resolve. And we went at it and we resolved them. We resolved them by Tuesday afternoon. They were resolved because we knew about them on Monday. And these were things that in the last 9 years we never looked at.
Right.
And then I guess to summarize, like I mentioned during our previous webinar about Vision Day Building 1, is that we've implemented a lot of the changes. In implementing them, we realized that a lot of the services we were offering, a lot of the clients we were working with didn't fit the mold, and that 80-20 rule applied 100%. We were spending 80% of our time on 20% of the revenue and the stuff that was important and deliverables to the clients. We got rid of the 80% where we weren't performing at our peak, where we weren't really adding value to our clients and our business, and doubled down on that 20%. In doing so, we've almost completely morphed our business into what it is today. And with today being kind of the closing of the month, it was our first full month that we ran where we started and ended the month with the deliverables, with the clients that were different than anything we've done before. Every single client delivery that I've done this month, this week, specifically to close out July and put together a plan for August, the clients were blown away. After every single one of those meetings, I got on the phone with the rest of our team and profusely thanked them for kind of the work that they did this month, because it set us up for success. Planning August was infinitely easier because of the groundwork we laid, because of understanding of what we're doing. So all of these changes are having a very real, not a superficial, we're looking good and I think we see a path forward type effect, but we've implemented them, we've run the test, we've closed them out, and now we see exactly where we're going. So this has been a great experience for us. That's why I'm so excited to do these webinars. I'm sharing them with as many people as I can, just because I know how much it'll change their lives and their business. And I think anybody that's running a business today should at the very least start by reading a book and having a conversation with Dan, with an implementer that knows the EOS system. I wouldn't change Dan for the world. He knows that, so I would definitely be calling Dan. But I really believe in this process and in the system. So with that, I'm going to hand it over. I know this is a very long and windy introduction, but it had to be there because I had to share the experience and say how important this is to me personally. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dan to kind of chart the path.
Wow. Well, that is quite the introduction. Thank you. Yeah. So to kind of take a step back, with EOS, each individual client that I work with, we move as fast as the client wants to move, right? It's all about quality over quantity. You and your team happen to be one of those groups that want to move fast, right? So if you guys can remember, in literally 60 days, we had our focus day. 30 days later, Vision Day Building 1. 30 days after that, Vision Day Building 2. So that's 60 days. You guys went, it was almost a complete pivot of where you were heading. And if I remember, in the very beginning in the accountability chart, we were thinking about hiring 3 positions that were going to be $200,000 of payroll, that when we decided we didn't need that. And so, you know, it's each client's journey is totally different, and that's what I personally love about it, right? Gino Wickman put together the EOS process, and if you follow the process, we guarantee it's going to work, right? Some people go a little faster than others, and you guys were definitely that. So to kind of get everybody up to speed is, you know, for the focus day is where we lay the foundation for the structure of the organization, right? Our whole thing is structure first, vision second. And we have a saying that, you know, vision without the structure is literally a hallucination, right? And so many companies, that's what happens. They just don't have the structure to achieve their vision. And that's one of the key reasons why we start out with a focus day, right? A lot of people go, oh my gosh, Dan, you know, we need the vision. We need to get that going, you know? No, we need the structure. And that's why we started out with the accountability chart, make sure we have the right roles. And then we go into the rocks, and you were mentioning about rocks, right? So after focus day, everybody comes out of focus day and they're all real clear on rocks and what they are. And as you know, Vision Day Building 1, 30 days later, you're kind of like, wait, what's a rock again? What's the difference between that and a to-do or a goal and this? And so it's literally, it's amazing what Gino has put together, because it is that process where we want you to learn about it, right? It's that whole thing about, you know, give a man a fish and he eats for the day. Teach him how to fish. Well, guess what? They eat for life. So there is that process about learning. And it's a long day, right? We were there for 8 hours, and your brain is just basically mush after that. You can't even put one more thing in there, right? So that's by design. And then the level 10 meetings. I mean, teaching those it's a life-changing moment for every single one of my clients. I can't even remember one client ever saying that the level 10s are a waste. And this is going on for years, right? It's just a way to run your business.
You know, I'll add to that with the level 10 meetings. So we scheduled them initially kind of off the cuff. We wanted to have one as soon as possible. And it so happened that, you know, we were talking about it over the weekend. So we scheduled our first L10 for Monday. And Monday at 9 a.m. is our meeting. Now, Mondays traditionally in anybody's business are rough days. That's when you have all the stuff kind of bubble up from the weekend. It's when you plan your week. And as we started holding them, we realized that it's a tough day to have it on Monday, because we have our level 10 meeting. We have another team meeting that's been kind of on the calendar forever that we do every Monday at 10:30, and we're doing them back to back. And it's not until 12 o'clock that we jump into the craziness of Monday. And as we thought about moving the meeting, obviously we needed to do something to kind of regain some control over Monday. We thought about moving the meetings. And the one meeting that was actually not up for discussion for moving was the L10 meeting. What we ended up doing is we ended up blocking out our calendars. So on my calendar, Mondays are just not available for anything else, to make sure that we always are able to hold the level 10 meeting and then get everything else done that we need to. That's a Monday. The reason being is I couldn't imagine holding it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Monday morning, we did move it to 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 9. That's the foundation for the whole week. We report what the week was, and now we know what are our priorities, what are our issues, who do we need to talk to, what do we need to address for the rest of the week. I feel like if we did it later in the week, we'd only have a couple of days of productivity. The weekend would wipe some of that out. It wouldn't be the same. And I don't know if it matters or not what day of the week it's held. I don't think it was ever brought up in the system. It was just start on time, end on time, don't use electronics, and be present. But for us, it's Mondays. And if I talk to anybody, I'm going to recommend Mondays because it sets the baseline for your week. And the way that you leave that meeting and you go into your week is completely different. You go in there with focus and with purpose and with an agenda. And yeah.
I mean, in level 10, there is, as you know, a specific agenda, lasts 90 minutes, starts on time and ends on time. And it's on the same day, right? Those are all the key components. And if you think about it, and the way it's set up is in the first 5 minutes, we have what we call the segue. Instead of just jumping into a meeting, what's your best personal, best business that happened to you last week? So kind of a psychological, it just lets people kind of relax before you just start solving issues. And then what we do, review your scorecard, 5 minutes, right? Are you on track or off track? Real simple, right? And then we review your rocks. Are your rocks on track or off track? Simple as that. Then we talk about the company employees, any other headlines, things like that, 5 minutes. And then the to-dos, right? We're recapping the to-dos of what we promised when we solved problems last week. Who was responsible to solve that issue? And then you report on it. So when you think about it, in 25 minutes, in the first 25 minutes, and you do it in a Monday, right away by 8:30 exactly where your company is at, what needs to get done, and what to prioritize. And then you have that 60 minutes to IDS. And we talked about IDSing, identify, discussing, and solving. And then wrap it up with 5 minutes of conclusion, and you are just set the sail through the rest of the week. So, the level 10s, now it's a little wonky, right? The first couple you do, you're kind of like, oh, I don't know, because it's like a meeting you've never led before. But once you get the hang of it, which you guys have, it's like you would never think of ever running a meeting any other way ever again for the rest of your business life, would you?
No, for sure. And in the beginning, we had trouble. In the beginning, on the to-dos, on the rocks, on the scorecard, well, not so much on the scorecard, but on the rest, we get bogged down. We'd start, did you do this? No, I didn't, but, and we'd get into these discussions, and it took a while to rein that in. Right now, we are solid. Every single time something comes up, an issue is created, it goes to our issues list. Once we hit the issues, being able to prioritize them, and here I'll do a shout out for Traction Tools. I was using another system before Traction Tools, and it wasn't the same. It gave you that list of issues, and you kind of tackle them one at a time, picking. The fact that Traction Tools forces you to pick the top 3 that you want to address, mark them, you can no longer see the rest. You do them in order. Just that in itself was a huge help. Besides the fact that Traction Tools is for us, it's more clearly laid out. It's easier to use. It's not, with the other tool we were using, it became another thing we had to do in our level 10 meeting. With Traction Tools, it allows us to have the level 10 meeting without being any kind of obstruction to it. As far as the issues themselves, they say in project management in general, in doing your homework, you should try to get the hard stuff out first. It'll give you a sense of accomplishment, achievement, and you're able to, then you coast through all the easy stuff. Mm-hmm. Going back to holding this on Mondays, getting through those top, typically we've been averaging probably about 5 or 6 issues that we're actually able to talk through and resolve. And typically we have a backlog of about 5 that we then try to come back to during the week, or they just resolve automatically by next week and we're able to mark them off. But from a sense of accomplishment, walking out of that meeting, knowing that we identified some of these, relatively big issues that we're having. We talked through them. We found the solutions, we found the people that needed to do them, we assigned all the to-dos, we have a path forward, there are definite due dates, we know we're going to be held accountable to it.
Yep.
That's that boost of energy walking out of that Monday meeting. We accomplished probably the biggest part of our week in that 60-minute IDS session. Everything after that is gravy. The rest of the week, Tuesday through Friday, everything else suddenly seems easy because of doing that. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, that's a great way to do it. And the process for Vision Day Building 2 and Vision Day Building 1 is we spent the first part of the morning reviewing those focus day tools, because the goal is for you, the client, to master those tools, right? I'm not the consultant. I'm the teacher. I'm the guy who teaches you purely how to do this, and so that you learn how to do it. And I think that's one of the great things of the great satisfaction that I have as a professional implementer is I'm teaching people, literally, I'm teaching people to put myself out of a job. I mean, when you think about it, that's what it is. And that's fine, because that's what a teacher does, right? So when you were talking about your scorecard, right, you were saying about how difficult the scorecard was. And I remember distinctly telling you, we're going to take a first crack at the scorecard at the focus day. And we're going to walk out of there and you're going to go, oh my gosh, this is great. And then on Vision Day Building 1, you're going to go, oh my gosh, this doesn't make any sense. And then on Vision Day Building 2, you're going to go, Dan, we got to fix this. And that's usually the way it happens. A lot of times it takes until the first quarterly, which it will be our next adventure, which is now 90 days down the road. You've kind of grown out of the structure and vision, and then now we go into full execution mode after this. But with the Vision Building Day 2, one of the things that usually we try and do the 10-year target on Vision Day Building 1. And the 10-year target, just I'll kind of review it real quick, is that North Star in 10 years. What's the great big thing you want from your organization for yourself to accomplish, whatever it is? I have a whole big blog post. You can go to fourmores.com and read it. And it's about the 7 different types of target markets. And it's really a hard thing to think about, right? I remember talking to you and your team saying, okay, we're going to work on the 10-year target. And you guys are looking at me like, 10 years? So we really didn't get to that one. So I said, don't worry about it. It's all baked into the process, and we'll do it on Vision Day Building 2. And that's because it's all about the quality, right, as opposed to quantity. And so when we started the day, we reviewed the focus day tools, and you guys mastered them. You actually passed my test. You know them. That was good. And then we went on the 10-year, and we nailed that. And then we moved into the marketing strategy, which was really interesting because, here you've been doing things this one way for so many years, and now we're building this strategy for this pivot, right? And the first thing we do is we really just say, who is the target market, right? What is that target market all about? And that is not an easy thing to do. And in Vision Day Building 1, we built our core values, which your guys' core values were just fantastic. I love them. And then the core focus. And without that and the 10-year target, there's no way you can do a great marketing strategy, right? And I'll say it again, because core values tells us who we are as a company, right? Who in our heart and soul we are. The core focus tells us what we are as a company. Our 10-year target says where we're going, right? And then we work on the marketing strategy to say, how in the hell are we going to get there? Okay. And as you know, the marketing strategy is broken up into, a couple parts. We got the target market, and then we have this 3 uniques. And that is very interesting But the three uniques is defined as what are the three things that your organization does better than anybody else in your city, in your county, in the state, in the country, in the world, whatever it is. And that's what your three uniques are. And you might share one or two with the competitors, but when you have the three together, it's just like a knockout punch that nobody can compete against. And that's one of the most important things. Use that in your website, any of your marketing materials. I tell people that's a great elevator speech right there. Combine that with your core focus and that, and it's like the perfect elevator speech. And then we talked about the proven process. And you guys were, because that's what you guys do, automatically got it, right? And the proven process, I find most companies, I'm going to say 90% of the clients I work with, they talk about a proven process, and they're just kind of like, what? And all it is the moment a customer does business or contacts you to the moment they're happy and satisfied, what are those 3, maybe 7 steps, but they're graphically or visually represented. Because people's minds, they're more visual. 70% of the people learn by visual as opposed to just 30% by reading or text, right? And you guys have a really great process, proven process that you put together that maybe you could even splice that in there later and people can get an idea of what it is, because that was a really great one.
You know, the process in general, I feel like ever since I understood exactly how that works, I've been making sure that our clients that aren't on EOS, but they need that. They need that to communicate to their team. They need it to communicate to their customers. They need it for clarity. At first, with the first couple of customers, I did it, you know, I didn't charge them anything for it. I was just curious to see how it would work and how the graphic would work. Every single client that I've done this for has come back to me and said, can you give it to me in a file big enough so I could print it in a poster? I was at a client's office that now has that poster hanging up all throughout, from the front reception area, all throughout the office and the lunchroom, back in the warehouse. Everybody knows it. It's the biggest thing that's in his personal office when anybody's meeting with him. They really embraced it. And they weren't the only ones. And in general, you know, I'm looking at the way that pieces of this apply and how important it is to do it in the right order. How important it was to understand the accountability chart, to understand that we didn't need those 3 hires, that our gap wasn't there. We were creating a problem and then hiring to solve it. We weren't actually solving the root problem we had. Understanding that, so now we're able to hire the right person. In hiring the right person, I've gone through probably about 20 some interviews right now. Wow. Every single interview, first of all, I never interviewed so much because I now am very, very clear on who we're looking for. Before there was very vague, you know, I'm looking for that type of person and then I'll make him fit. That's no longer the case. I'm looking for a person that does that and that can do that and that fits within this organization. So my interview process is completely different. And on the one hand, it's harder because it's more people I'm trying to gauge more. On the other hand, it's infinitely easier because I know exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah. On 2 sides of the equation. On the one side of the equation, I knew exactly what I was looking for from a job description standpoint. That accountability chart really cleared it up. What are the duties? Which ones go down from kind of the senior management down to the role we're trying to fill? How will that fit into the overall team and so forth? So that provided a ton of clarity. But I would say even more importantly was using the people analyzer. I had my little chart. I had my plus, minus, plus, slash, minus. I had to have at least 3 pluses, 2 plus minuses, no minuses. I went through it. I got my list down to 2. I went from having over 200 resumes, which I was able to judge based on, again, accountability chart and people analyzer right away. I got that down to about 20 interviews. I got that down to 2 viable prospects. And I know that my partner had a second interview with both of them yesterday, so I'm waiting to hear feedback. But from what I gather, we're going to be putting an offer out to one that's great, for all intents and purposes, an absolutely perfect fit for this position that didn't exist a month ago, that needed something completely different. So we've applied that. We've applied the, looking at the 3 uniques, and we worked them into our site copy. After Vision Day Building 1, before that, we were in the process of rebuilding our site, rebuilding our content. It's been 5 years, and we needed a complete makeover. And we were pretty far along. We already had most of the copy done. We had all of the design done. We were waiting for the development team to free up a little bit from client projects so they could jump in. We put the brakes on that. In the last 30 days, we completely reimagined everything. We just finalized all the copy this week. It includes those 3 uniques in a big way, because those 3 uniques tie directly into our niche, which directly supports our focus, which was built out based on the accountability chart of who we are as people and what we're able to achieve and how we work with our clients. So they all tie in. And then on the one hand, I was kind of upset that during Vision Day Building 1, we missed, we didn't have enough time to get to the 10-year target. We really focused in on the focus. And I was kind of upset that, like you said, I was trying to get through it fast, and it wasn't about expedience. It was just about, I don't know, being an overachiever. If we have these things on the agenda, I feel disappointed leaving with 9. In retrospect, I'm happy we did, because in my opinion, the way that it ended up working out for us is starting with the review of the focus day. But once we actually started Vision Day Building 1, starting with the 10-year, set the framework for the rest. The way that I did it when I was self-implementing, I actually went through those parts, and I started the way that most people would start. I started with, what do I want to achieve in 1 year, 3 years, 10 years. And as much as that goal has to be that big, audacious goal, it's still not something that's made up. It's something that's achievable. It's something that's measurable. Yep. Versus when I was doing it in reverse, I was just making stuff up at some point. Based on what we'd achieve in 1 year, let's give it some factor of multiple and come up with something. Doing it this way and understanding that what we're looking to measure is how are we getting towards that bigger picture, starting from the 10-year and then establishing a 3-year based on what do we have to achieve in those 3 years, so that we're on our way to that 10-year. Setting the 1-year plan on what is our plan to achieve this year, so we can get to the 3-year picture, so we can get to the 10-year target. Working it backwards provided us for an actually viable outline that we can A, follow, and B, I think achieve. I think we're going to hit every one of the milestones that we set out, because we changed our thinking about how we're going to go about doing it. Yeah. So I think that worked out great.
Well, I'll tell you, that's one of the things when I find when people are self-implementing. I just a new client this week, and they had self-implemented. What they do is they, just like you said, you kind of cherry pick the easier things to do. And the hard thing to do is the accountability chart. And they didn't want to do it because they were people in the organization. They knew they shouldn't be there anyways. And it's a hard thing to do. And so, but that's literally the second thing we do in the focus day is we get down and get dirty, enter the danger, get the accountability chart there, and make sure that we have the right people, right seats. RPRS is what we call it. And that just goes throughout the whole journey. As you see, right? Vision Day Building 1, we went over the accountability chart. Vision Day Building 2, went over the accountability chart. And make sure everybody has the core values. You're talking about the people analyzer. The people analyzer is the ultimate simple tool to make sure that people have your core values. Because the last thing you want to do is build a company and have a bunch of people that don't have your core values, because they will not fit your culture, and they will literally tear your culture apart. And so it's very precise. And you mentioned the way we do it, right? After the marketing strategy, then we go into the 3-year picture. And we distinctly call it picture because it's literally your team and myself, I'm up there, and we're literally artists. 3 years out there, what is our revenues going to be, okay? And what do we want our profit to be? And what's the measurable that helps us get to the 10-year? And then there's like maybe 5 to 12 bullet points of Literally, what is it going to look like? Oh, let's have an office in Colorado. That would be great. Let's have an office also in Miami. Or we need to have 5 salespeople. One of my favorites is a client, and their name is Yellowbox, and they're an agency. And one of their things is their office, they want to have all their dividers to be yellow. And it's like, so it's whatever you can dream it. And the key is, if we get the leadership team aligned on that, as well as the rest of the team to see it, feel it, taste it, it's going to happen. And then we worked on the 1-year plan, right? The 1-year plan is, it's not a picture anymore, damn it. We're doing it. Here is what our revenue is going to be. Here's what our profit's going to be. And then we call them goals. What are the goals we're going to do? We don't have 27 goals. We have 5, maybe 7, maybe 10 goals at the most. Because in EOS, less is more, do less better. And here's the things we're going to do. Maybe it's a new ERP system. Maybe it's maybe like right now, hey, let's get rid of our office and let's get everybody to work at home, because we save a lot and people actually work better at it. So that's the 1-year plan. And then if you remember, like you said, your rocks were due on Vision Day Building 2. And it's kind of a learning curve that first time you do rocks, because you don't really know if you do them right. But as you know, that second time we do it, we really nail them. So the rocks we set for Vision Day Building 2, now you remember this, are going to be due in the 90 days. And you guys got some big rocks out there. And so in 90 days, they're going to be due. And 95% is not done. 100% is done. And this time, I think the key is we made the rocks smart, right? Specific. We made sure they were measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Can we get it all done in that 90 days? And can we measure it when we hit it? And so that's how we set new rocks. And we're going to do that every quarter. We're going to review what we had happen to us the last quarter. And guess what? Then we're going to set new rocks. So the way it works out is when we do our level 10s, we're solving the most important issues, helping us get our rocks done. By the quarter, which is the 90-day world, we get our rocks done every quarter. And then that sets us up for a great 1 year. We have a great 1 year, then we're going to hit our 3-year. And then when we hit our 3-year, guess what? All of a sudden it's 10 years and you're like, oh my gosh, that great big hairy thing that we never in a million years thought we'd do, it gets done. And that's the power of EOS. It focuses our ability.
You know, one thing I never asked, and I'm going to touch, actually, I want to touch on marketing strategy in a second, but really quick, I never even thought about this. So we did this right now. We did our 1-year plan and we did our 3-year picture and our 10-year target. What happens next year? Do we do that again?
I guess you're just going to have to wait and see.
I actually never even thought about that, but that's an interesting question because I think it's very ambiguous after a while. So
yeah, well, I'm throwing so much stuff at you. So literally what we're going to do when we have our annual, so we have a 2-day annual. So for 1 day, we just review the whole year. And then we have some team health exercises, right? Because part of EOS, we want people to be smart. We want our team and all the company to be healthy. So we have these great exercises to build the team health. And then the second day is literally quarterly. So we're planning what we're doing for the next 90 days. And at that time, obviously we're going to set, what are we going to do for the year? So we're setting a new 1 year. And then we set another 3 years to look 3 more years out. So okay. That's the answer to your question. Now the 10-year, we leave the 10-year alone.
Okay.
And if you hit the 10-year in 6 or 7 years, guess what we're going to do? We're going to make a new 10-year.
Okay. That makes sense. What I want to touch on is marketing also. So with marketing, we are a marketing agency. And we work with clients in the built world, so anything to do with construction and real estate, on developing their marketing strategy, on making sure that their marketing and their sales are aligned, and making sure that their marketing and sales is aligned with actual execution and so forth. But in going through the COS process, I realized that it's something that we learn not only for ourselves and something we're implementing for ourselves, but I'm taking more away from it than I probably even should. And now I'm applying it to a lot of clients, because with a lot of clients, that foundational step in the beginning is missing. A lot of businesses in general. When you start out in business, who is your target market? Anyone with a checkbook. And then you kind of, over the years, you chip away at it, and you get a little bit more finite. But very seldom do companies take a step back and say, this is our client, and that is not. That takes typically a while for a company to get to that point. Many never get to that point. And even the ones that get to that point, the whole team might not be aligned around it, might not even understand why. You know, telling a salesperson that they can't sell to someone is not very encouraging.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Having them understand that, you know, how it fits into the narrative and so forth is super important. So with every client that we've been working with now, we've brought that up into the conversation, and the clear answers that many had, or at least thought they had, once we actually get into discussion and dig a little bit deeper, we realized that it wasn't as solid and it wasn't as well defined as everybody thought. So going through that exercise for us first, and realizing that 80-20 rule is that for this set of clients, we're able to create instant value. We have relationships, we have industry expertise, we have the tools, the list, the context, and so forth. Why are we spending time on this whole other batch of clients where we can't provide as much value to them up front? We're shortchanging them and us, and understanding that has allowed us to free up a lot of time to focus on the clients where we fit well, where we deliver well. Hence my, end of month meetings on delivering back, and everybody being absolutely ecstatic, because we now knew that these are our clients and why. Applying the proven process, I already talked about. I've mentioned how important that is. The guarantee, a lot of companies shy away from it, because when they think of a guarantee, they're thinking of a couple of things. They're thinking either your car warranty, or they're thinking of a guarantee slapped on the box, and Tommy Boy didn't do any favors for the guarantee that's slapped on the box. But understanding that guarantee is something that's not necessarily, a warranty on a car, or just some feeling of kind of that good feeling that you leave people behind, but it's an actual guarantee of what it is that we're going to deliver on, what it is that we can stand behind. And putting that out there, most companies like ours and most of our clients have never done that, because it's not that kind of business. But any business is that kind of business, because any customer you're working with is that kind of customer, that they want to understand and have assurances of what it is that they're going to see at the end of all of this. So that's been tremendous. And then the first piece of all of this was the 3 uniques, and going through it, and here with most of our clients, the instant answer that we get is nothing. Nothing makes us unique. Everybody does it. We do it. They do it. We've been doing it longer. We've been doing it less. We started later. We started earlier. We got 5 guys. They got 10 guys. But at the end of the day, we're all the same. But as soon as you dig a little bit deeper, and you ask the right question, you realize that they've done more than anybody else has done of this. And doing this requires a special skill set that, just by process of elimination, all the people that have done less of it can't do as well. And identifying that and being able to put that into that, those 3 uniques are what's going to end up defining your target market. Again, order of priority. Why do we do the 3 uniques first? So I've had the experience of taking this marketing strategy and applying it not just to us, but I've applied it to, I think, 9 other engagements already. And
wow, that's great.
Eye-opening on every single one of them. So just, I guess, another testament to another part of EOS. And I know that you wanted to say something about the guarantee. So sorry, I cut you off.
No, I mean, I was just going to say that you hit it. The guarantee is one of those things most companies are afraid, because they're like, oh gosh, if I don't hit it, it's going to cost me a lot of money. Well, guess what? A good guarantee, if you don't hit it, should hit you hard. So, and that's true. But a good guarantee, no, a great guarantee takes the risk out of your customer buying from you, right? And if you have a guarantee and your competitors don't, well, guess who they're going to choose, right? And the other ones they're afraid to. Like when I ran Lobstergram, in the beginning, I didn't have a guarantee. And all of a sudden, I just decided I'm going to make the guarantee 100% happiness. No questions asked. You know, if the lobsters don't arrive alive, send your money back or send you new lobsters. If you didn't like the steaks for whatever reason, ship you new steaks, refund your money. And my sales went up almost 20% that year because people were back then afraid of getting food in the mail. Now food in the mail, it's like nothing, but they were scared. This is 30 years ago, right? So taking the risk out of it was a no-brainer. And the other point I wanted to make is you get the EOS and the power of it, right? And you're going to find out that your different vendors and all your customers, you're going to be attracted to the ones that are operating on EOS right now. And that's what I found is that EOS companies will love to work with EOS companies because A, they know the right people are in the right seats. They got their act together. They got the structure. They have the vision. They have the processes, the plans, everything's set. And so that's really great to hear that you're helping your clients, in those different areas, especially the marketing, which is, what you do. And that makes me feel really great.
It's actually one of our rocks for this quarter is to start working with at least one EOS company as a customer. We want to kind of dip our toe in that world, and then hoping that in the foreseeable future there'll be more and more that just I think is going to make working together that much easier. To your point about the guarantee and people being concerned about how much it's going to cost them to have that guarantee if it goes wrong. You couldn't have explained it better, but not having that guarantee, if you're worried about the guarantee costing you money, that means that you're throwing money out the window left and right without having the guarantee, because that's the very thing that's stopping you from achieving greatness and then the next level of your business.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess the next step for us is, I've been holding off on this. You mentioned a few times that you want to join us for one of our L10 meetings.
Yes.
Off because as good as I felt about them, I wanted to make sure we were more solid, and we kind of put our best foot forward when we invited you in. I feel like we are ready to bring you into the fold of our L10 meeting. They're no longer the insanity that they used to be. The rabbit and the bull aren't coming out as often as they used to, and so forth. So I think we're ready for that L10, and I can't wait for the quarterly, because we've got the foundation down. Not saying that it's perfect, not saying that it's not going to change. It definitely will, but now it's on to production. Now it's making all these words on 2 pages of the VTO come to life, delivering on them. Now we're accountable to you on top of to each other. So we have to make sure that we hit them, so that when we do sit down, what is now 2.5 months from now, that we're knocking out the quarterly, kind of out of the field, and making sure that we're set up that in the next 3 quarters, we're going to hit our 1-year plan and take it from there. So excited about what the next steps are. Slightly concerned about the fact that up until now, we have been talking much more regularly. We've been doing these daily, the full day meetings on a monthly basis, and now we're not going to have one all of a sudden for a quarter. Glad that you are as available as you are for any of our questions, and that that you're living up to your here to help mantra, that every time that we do have questions, and if we're doing things right, if we're measuring things right and so forth, we're able to reach out to you and get your insight. But I think going through it for a full quarter and touching on all the parts of the VTO will make things infinitely easier for us going forward, and will speed up. We'll first of all speed up the process of scaling, but more importantly, will give us just a better handle and control of what we're doing, better handle and control of our time, not spending time on a lot of things that don't matter as much. And now this VTO is a very clear blueprint. And if it's not listed on here, we're not doing it for the time being. So every single idea that we have and every single conversation, we go back to the VTO, we look for it there. If we could somehow justify or explain that we have it on there, we'll go with it. If there's no justification and we're just ramming something in, then it's just simply not happening. And we'll discuss it next quarter or next year or never, because it just might not fit with who we are and where we're going. So yeah, everything has been great, and kind of excited about the next steps.
Well, you guys have really laid down a great foundation for the structure, some great vision, great core values, focus, marketing strategy. I mean, all those things. And as you know, I think that's what makes my clients happy to work with me, is I am available. I want to my goal is increase the value of your organization and for the owners and their employees to live a better life. Those are the two things that make me excited of the work that I do. And I appreciate the compliment.
No, thank you very much. And thank you for, not only the actual process, but thank you for taking the time to do these webinars. I think they're super beneficial. I think anybody that's watching them that either read the book or is looking to look further into the EOS process, I think hearing a firsthand account, hearing us run through it, day by day of the process that we're going through, I think this is going to help countless people make the right decision, look further into EOS. If it fits for what they want to do, then I think this will be a great catalyst to change other people's lives. So I think you taking the time to do these webinars with us, and after spending a day talking to us as it is, I'm sure it's as draining for you as what it does to us. But then to come back and kind of rehash and relive that day through these webinars isn't the easiest thing in the world, and it's time consuming, but it provides a ton of value well beyond just for our organization. But to anybody watching, and I think it's going to be eye-opening for everyone. So really appreciate your time on that.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to spread the EOS love, and I'm happy to help anybody out there answer any questions they have on EOS. And I think one of the big things, as you know, when we first talked is, I say grow or die. If you're a company that wants to grow, then you need to use some type of a system, and EOS can get you there. If you're having some people issue or some kind of something like that, EOS will help give you that structure. And I know when I was running Lobstergram, I was just winging it. I wish that I knew about EOS and I could hire an implementer back then. But anyways, now it's kind of ironic. Now I am one, so it's very cool. But
you're able to see that, had you applied it to, it's the equivalent of getting an executive MBA, getting an MBA right after you're out of school and not knowing what you're doing yet, in my opinion, is pretty much useless. Getting that same MBA after working for 10 years, and every single thing you're hearing in class, you're applying it to the things that you've done wrong over the last 10 years. You have done it differently. You having the system to apply it to 30 years of mistakes, I think is tremendous. That's what made it come alive for you, and that's why you're able to deliver that to other people. It's very real. You did it without it, and now you know what it would have looked like with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on the program. Enjoy it, and you and your team are great to work with. So,
likewise, thank you. So, in closing, I highly recommend anybody watching this to go to the number 4, moors.com. That's Dan's website, where you'll be able to find more information. He has written a couple of fantastic blog posts, which I've read before the Vision Day building. I read the 10-year one right before Vision Building Day 1, and I think I read the core values one right before the first day. So they were extremely well timed. I don't know if he was writing them based on my timing or not, but they came out right as we were going.
Of course I was.
They were extremely helpful to me. They're insightful, so you could take a look at that, and also for more information, I'll contact Dan. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, for listening. Hopefully, this is going to, you found this to be helpful, and you're able to take something away from it. As I tell all of my clients and friends that run businesses, I recommend it's a great starting point to go out and get the book Traction. Take a look at it, read through it. As you read through it, right away you'll see things of how they apply. Yeah. My recommendation is don't try to apply them yourself. With that being said, something is better than nothing to a degree. So I think reading it will get you to asking the right questions, and then should you contact Dan, then it's going to help you find the right answers, because he's going to definitely point you in the right direction towards those answers. So thank you, Dan, for taking the time. Can't wait to do our next one covering the quarterly.
All right, you got it. See you later.
Thank you.